Holy Lego stud, brick fanatics! The newly unveiled LEGO 76271 DC Batman Gotham City Skyline set is the LEGO set that Batman fans deserve. But is it the one that LEGO DC needs right now? After a rough few years for LEGO superhero sets in general, can Gotham Skyline save LEGO DC? Probably not. This is a wonderful looking set. What an absolutely brilliant new direction to take LEGO DC in. LEGO DC has already embraced art to a certain degree with the previous Jim Lee Batman sets, but now we've got something that just looks so spectacular. It's a wonderful, gorgeous skyline filled with Easter eggs and references for LEGO Batman fans. It looks fantastic. It's also not cheap. I mean, you can probably get a sense of how expensive it's going to be by just looking at it, but then the price tag, which hits somewhere around £260 or $300 or euros, is going to price out most people who would be interested in buying it. If 2024 is anything like 2023 for LEGO DC, this is kind of going to be it for anybody who doesn't just want little playsets, and even then, the little playsets are not going to be particularly substantial. Certainly not in comparison to, say, 5 to 10 years ago, when LEGO DC was one of the biggest partners that LEGO was working with, where LEGO Batman was basically everywhere. By the way, if you feel like being a superhero and helping somebody in need, why not give this video a thumbs up, because it genuinely helps out the channel. Oh, how the mighty have fallen. We used to get LEGO DC games and all of these wonderful sets, and a feature-length animated film in cinemas, and these delightful mini-doll sets. Back in the golden age of mini-dolls, when it was more than just LEGO Friends and Disney princesses, you also had like elves, and Wonder Woman, and Supergirl, and Batgirl. These were so cool. And all of this has faded away to basically nothing. There is almost nothing left of what was once one of the largest pillars of the LEGO experience. There are many potential reasons for this, but one of the big ones has got to be the fact that DC films just don't really appeal to kids at the moment. And notice I say specifically to kids, because every now and then, every few years, you get The Batman, which appeals to a largely older audience, but then the kids aren't really going to be necessarily as into that one because it's not really aimed at them in the same way. And it's the kids mostly who are actually driving the sales of a lot of DC LEGO. You get these big sprawling skylines and they're wonderful, but that is a small fraction of the sales for any given LEGO theme compared with the huge number of children that are going to be buying the playsets. So where LEGO Marvel is still doing, you know, pretty good, like we're still getting a decent amount of LEGO Marvel, DC has just kind of withered on the vine. Say what you like about the Snyderverse, it certainly has its very supportive vocal group of fans, but they are somewhat in the minority compared to the mainstream wider audience for these kinds of films. Even as DC attempted to pivot away from just the hardcore Snyderverse fans to appeal to a broader audience with films starring The Rock and several Ezra Millers, things didn't go according to plan. And there's been a general decline in interest in superhero films in general, where people are just kind of sick of being told you absolutely have to see this, the latest installment in a very long line of episodic films. The hype machine has been getting in the way of actual storytelling, and audiences have responded, and merch sales have declined as a result. Make sure that you hit the subscribe button and the notification bell, by the way, as a reminder. If we make it to 100,000 subscribers before it retires, I will take my copy of Sanctum Sanctorum, which is currently mint in box and sealed, and I will open it up and I will build it in a video. I don't really want to do it, but you can make me do it if you subscribe. It must be difficult for LEGO having to build so much of these branded IP sets around films that you have absolutely no control over. For a lot of these sets based on movies, the LEGO group doesn't get more than a few pieces of concept art on which to base LEGO sets, so the film might be completely different by the time that the sets actually release. What's more, the LEGO group has absolutely no control over the quality of the product, and so is very much at the whim of filmmakers and film studios as to whether a LEGO set will sell gangbusters or whether it'll end up just sitting on store shelves forever because no one went out to see the latest superhero explosion film. You can kind of see why the LEGO group might be squeamish to do a lot of sets based on DC films at a moment when DC is kind of in flux and a lot of their films recently have underperformed at the box office. What's more, when you've got a film like, say, The Flash that's in development for, like 7+ years, then the LEGO group doesn't necessarily want to commit to making LEGO sets for that because they don't know when the film is actually going to release. And indeed, when it did release, it turned out that it still hadn't had enough time to cook in the oven. Oh, cook in the oven, that was a bad turn of phrase. Oh dear. Marvel has been significantly more consistent with their release dates for films up to a point, and has also been significantly more consistent in at least reaching a base level of cultural zeitgeist appeal so that people are more aware of these things. But even so, you've got sets like many of the Black Panther sets that have just lingered on store shelves a little bit. This is anecdotal entirely, and it does seem like perhaps this is a moment where the LEGO Group is kind of losing the love of film tie-ins in general. Certainly, if you look at a lot of the up-and-coming brand partners that the LEGO Group is working with at the moment, they're less film-based, less superhero-based, and more video game-based. So you've got Minecraft, which has been around forever. Mario is clearly a big-ticket thing because they keep making these things. Sonic the Hedgehog is on the rise, and Fortnite. That one's gonna be big. There's also Animal Crossing, and maybe there'll be some other things. Who knows? Who can say? But one thing is clear, the LEGO Group's focus at the moment is not necessarily on DC. DC is not what it used to be in terms of the cash cow that it was in, say, the mid-2010s. So along comes Gotham City Skyline, a set which is not going to have the wider mainstream appeal. That price tag alone means that it is prohibitively expensive for a lot of people. The design of it, on the other hand, does get around one of the other big stumbling blocks for a lot of people looking at the big LEGO sets. Where last year's big expensive DC set, the Batcave Shadowbox, basically needs its own coffee table to be displayed properly, the new Gotham City Skyline is an art set. It can just be hung on a wall. It needs no additional real estate. You don't need to entirely rearrange your living room in order to make space for it. You might need to take down some photos of some loved ones in order to make space for it, but they'll understand. It's Batman. Even so, no matter how much of a space saver it might be compared to some other large LEGO sets, this one is only ever going to appeal to the die-hard fans who've got a lot of disposable income and nothing better to do with it. Okay, so Ed Sheeran is going to buy one of these, and probably not a lot of 10-year-olds, which means that the LEGO Group is not getting LEGO Batman into the hands of the rising up-and-coming LEGO audience. There will be no nostalgia for LEGO Batman if the LEGO Group can't keep up the machine, keep the wheels turning, keep people buying into this, keep the minifigures in kids' hands. But as said, at a time when film IPs are just more trouble than they're worth to the LEGO Group, maybe this is the moment that they've decided they don't actually need to keep Batman going anymore. The LEGO film license is no longer with Warner Brothers, which was no doubt an enormous factor in the inclusion of LEGO Batman in the LEGO movie. So whatever Universal does next, we can expect, I don't know, Dom from The Fast and the Furious to show up instead. There is, though, one hope that might revitalise LEGO Batman and LEGO DC in general, and that hope is James Gunn. The director of 3 Guardians of the Galaxy films, 1 Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special, and The Suicide Squad is now the CEO of DC Studios and is in charge of revitalizing and revamping the entire DC superhero film lineup. First up on the roster is a new Superman film expected in 2025, which is billed as being something a little bit more hopeful and optimistic and colourful than Man of Steel, which, given that in Man of Steel Superman drowns in a river of skulls at one point during a dream sequence, is not a high bar to climb over. If anything is going to save LEGO DC, it's going to be James Gunn's Superman film, and indeed whatever comes next. Films which are going to be very specifically and deliberately aimed at a younger and a wider audience. Films which are going to be a little bit less dour, a little bit less grumpy, and as a result significantly more marketable and merchandisable than what has come before. All of this assumes that everybody involved with making superhero films is able to kind of reverse the decline that the genre has been experiencing in the past few years. And things like Madam Web aren't exactly helping, but that's beside the point. Not to worry, we've still got Kraven the Hunter to look forward to this year. Why isn't there any Kraven the Hunter LEGO? So if the big thing on the horizon is a new slate of more child-friendly DC superhero films, then sets like Gotham City Skyline are essentially treading water, waiting for a moment later down the line when things might open up a little bit more, when there'll be more interest in these kinds of DC sets. This set doesn't need to sell hugely to be worthwhile, because as long as it keeps enough interest going in DC LEGO, then things are going to be able to tick over to the point that we get to those later films. And with a set as absolutely gorgeous as this one, there are definitely going to be fans. It's just clearly also only going to be for people who've got deep pockets or who are very good at finding a sale. So will Gotham City Skyline save LEGO DC? Probably not, but it will help it to tread water long enough for somebody else to save it. And that sometimes is all you can hope for. But what do you think? Let us know your thoughts in the comments down below. Also, make sure that you use the QR code or the affiliate link which is in the description if you're making a lego.com purchase in the near future. Doing so costs you no extra money, but does give us a little bit of a kickback every time you make a purchase through that link. Make sure also that you go to brickfanatics.com for all of your Lego news and reviews, and make sure that you sign up to our newsletter so that you never miss anything Lego related ever again. Thank you for watching.